Hello, credit union friends. Welcome to this episode of Three Questions. I'm Greg Michlig, President and CEO at CUInsight.com, and it's great to be joined by David Stauffer, North American Director of Veridas. David, thanks for being here.
Greg, thank you for having me. Looking forward to the conversation and to answering these questions and hopefully helping someone to learn a little bit more about AI fraud and the use of biometrics in the industry.
Perfect. Well, I know everyone's eager to hear about that, so here we go. Now, David, for decades, credit union trust was built on the physical handshake, so knowing members by name and seeing them at the branch. Now, banking is more digital. How has that trust changed, and what is the identity crisis leaders need to recognize today?
Yeah, certainly. As we think about the handshake, it was always more than a greeting. It was the ultimate multi-factor authentication piece,
Hmm.
providing visual recognition, voice confirmation, and local context all in one interaction. Today's identity crisis stems from trying to move from this, 100 plus year old trust model into a digital world where identity has become more of a commodity. So fraudsters are no longer just stealing data, they're fabricating entire humans, trying to mimic those handshakes. So, with $12.5 billion lost in fraud just last year, the crisis is that credit unions are still trying to figure out how to know their members through digital data points, whether that be social security numbers, addresses, or birth dates. It's something that they already have, but something that is already on sale on the dark web in 2026. If you kind of verify the person behind the pixel or to hear that they are actually a person, you aren't banking with a member. You have the opportunity or open the vulnerability that you're banking with a bot or a fraudster with sinister intentions. So the new challenge is about being able to accurately identify members across multiple channels without increasing friction, especially with the increased capabilities of AI generated fraud.
Now, we're seeing a major rise in AI-driven fraud. So, with the FBI reporting that 12.5 billion in losses that you referenced, why is it no longer just enough to secure the line or rely on a phone number as identity? How has widespread access to AI changed the rules of the game?
Yeah, it's a great question, Greg. And what we kind of think about is securing the line is a legacy solution to a modern war. Relying on a phone number or SMS code or OTP assumes that the device is the person. But AI has industrialized this type of deception. SIM swapping is now child's play for automated AI scripts. Widespread access to generative AI means a fraudster needs only 20 seconds and a couple of dollars and the member's audio from a social media post to bypass traditional voice prints. Fraud is no longer a one person in a basement operation. AI agents can now execute end to end account takeovers by identifying a target, spoofing their number, and mimicking your voice before the member even realizes that their phone has glitched. If you only verify the device, you're leaving the front door open for the impersonator. The new worry is that this sophisticated type of fraud can attack you also at multiple channels all at once, and you will never know it, right? A lot of credit unions that we're speaking to right now know that they have fraud, but they can't put a finger on it. It's really hard for them to identify. So that creates this fear of understanding that there's fraud getting through that they don't actually know about. And it's happening across all different channels. And it's really difficult to protect against multiple channels all at once.
Yeah, it's a really divergent from that physical handshake that you talked about, or that we talked about earlier. And I know a lot of credit unions really feel forced to choose between having kind of that frictionless experience and having strong security. So, how does a multi-layered identity verification platform solve this? And how can verifying the source, like a member's voice or face, both improve protection and make the experience faster and easier?
Yeah, and friction versus security is always a trade-off, but how drastic and how important this is oftentimes is a myth born of legacy technology. A multi-layered platform like Veridas uses the members themselves as the key rather than adding more hoops to the process or things to have to jump over to get through to what they want to do. One enrollment can create a frictionless experience across all channels within a credit union. So by focusing on the biological biometrics, face and voice, you verify the biological source of the transaction. A face cannot be forgotten like a password, and a voice cannot be stolen like a token. Veridas technology allows a member to be authenticated in just 3 to 5 seconds of natural speech, eliminating tedious interrogation security questions that kills the member's experience, but also is a vulnerability because a lot of that information that might be asked in a knowledge-based authentication method is available on the internet that if I went and spent 5 minutes on a Facebook page, I might be able to pull that information from. So our approach checks for liveness. We are trying to ensure it's not a photo or recording because photos or recording might be injection attacks that are a little bit more advanced. So we use advanced injection attack defense to ensure a bot isn't feeding video directly into the system, right? So it's no longer someone is holding a fake image up to a screen, but you have these advanced injection attacks where people are actually manipulating the channels of where this information is being collected. The key is that you want to work with a provider that can leverage the same voice or face biometrics across multiple channels. This creates one enrollment for frictionless authentication down the line, something that can be reused for multiple use cases within a credit union. So you can use that same biometric in the call center for high-risk transactions, password resets, or internal employee work desk transactions. The result is a member who feels recognized and valued, while fraudsters hit a wall that they can't bypass with stolen data. You aren't just securing an account, you're creating a digital handshake or a biometric identity that can be used throughout multiple transactions or touch points within your credit union.
Digital handshake. Man, I learned a lot already in just this short video interview. I appreciate you taking the time to share all that with me, David. And it's really been a pleasure to meet you. And again, I appreciate you taking the time to join me on the 3 Questions video interview.
Likewise, Greg, thank you for having us, and thank you for allowing Veridas to represent itself. And hopefully everyone learned at least a little something from this conversation today.
Outstanding. Thank you again. And thank you to all who tuned in for this 3 Questions video interview. We'll see you next time.